Hi everyone, this is Mother's Day interview with our mother, Susan Bryce, and it's me, Kathryn and Sarah Bryce. So the first question we have for you is describe each of us separately in 3 words.
So that's a very interesting question. And I thought, well, I could say you're both very musical, multi-talented, sporty, but I tried to find some words that I thought described you as individuals and personalities. So for Kathryn, I have come up with practical, caring, and generous. And for Sarah, I have come up with intellectual, sensitive, and loyal.
Oh,
What do you think of those?
very good.
Yeah, I'll take
It's
them.
always a worry. We don't know which way this is going to go, whether it's going to be embarrassing or nice.
Yeah.
You asked me.
Obviously, I sort of know the answer to this, but did you ever have an interest in cricket or any other sports growing up?
Yes, well, interestingly, growing up at home, so I grew up in the Lake District. Growing up at home, my mum had the Test cricket on BBC Two all the time when we were young, and both my parents took us to Old Trafford many Sunday afternoons to watch the old John Player League. So I guess that was my first introduction to cricket, although I never played it. I was a hockey player. And I would watch sport a lot. So I would watch usually on my own because neither mum or dad were particularly interested in sport other than for the cricket. I would watch Match of the Day most Saturday evenings. I would get up overnight and watch the Olympics when they were on. So I guess I've always had a real interest in watching sport.
Wow. When did we first show interest in cricket?
Well, that I'm not entirely quite sure, to be honest. I know that we've got Dad kept a diary of you when you were wee. So we have got documented that we played beach cricket back in 2001. So you would have been 4 and Sarah would have been 18 months. And that was apparently the day after England had beaten Australia in the Ashes at Headingley. So that's our first documented evidence of cricket, but I don't have any photos. You asked me to look to see if there were any photos of you playing cricket, and I don't have any of those. I have lots of photos of the 2 of you playing golf. We have lots of photos of playing football and all sorts of other games in the garden. So I guess perhaps the first real introduction to cricket was, and you have heard this story before, Kathryn was not well noted for the tidiness of her school bag. And every Friday I used to fish out manky bananas and oranges and pieces of paper that had been scrumpled up, the bag mail from school. But one week, Kathryn came home on a Monday afternoon with a piece of paper inviting her to the girls' cricket club. And I was not allowed to do anything, include make supper, until I had texted Liz Smith, who was the head of girls' cricket at George Watson's College, to say that Kathryn Bryce would like to come and join the girls' cricket club.
Brilliant. That just shows, I think Dad has clearly tried to make us into golfers, but not quite worked out.
Well, Kathryn Bryce, you do have a handicap in single figures, so I think your dad's not done too badly in making you into decent golfers.
I know, that's not good now though, because then it's been cut so much that I'm not going to win anything these days.
Yeah, I saw mine had been cut the other day as well. Absolute nonsense. Not played in a long time.
But you've been over handicapped for a long time, Sarah Bryce, I would say. You're too competitive.
Nonsense. Anyway, so obviously a lot of people always talk about kind of sacrifices that players have to make as they go through kind of their careers and stuff. But what sacrifices have you had to make? Obviously, you've been kind of taxi drivers almost for us for so long. But yeah, it'd be interesting to hear your side of that story.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? You use the word sacrifice, and I genuinely don't think I've made any real sacrifices. I've made choice to spend time with you. I've made choices to come and watch you play cricket. We've made choices to do things together as a family, but I wouldn't see any of those as sacrifices, because as a parent, one of the things that I've actually most enjoyed about being a parent is all the family times that we have together. So to me, it's not a sacrifice not going hill walking for a weekend and coming to watch you play cricket instead. I have spent a lot of time, I guess both Dad and I spent a lot of time driving you around to cricket matches and to training and to practices, encouraging you to do your music practice, and your schoolwork was probably harder work than driving you around to games. So it's interesting, as I say, that people use the word sacrifice, but to me, it was just a choice as to how I spent my time as an individual, and I wouldn't change any of it, to be honest.
It's lucky that you enjoy it, because you spent a lot of time doing it.
Yeah, well, I was thinking that I'm quite pleased that you're sporty, actually, because I would personally have found it much more challenging to sit indoors helping you to draw fantastic paintings or pictures, because that's just not me, and I struggle to do that. So I think I'm quite lucky that you've chosen and have the talents to do things that actually I enjoy watching and participating in. So you've made it easier.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
Sarah's still not going to sit down and do your jigsaw with you, though.
She's not, but you do, so that's helpful.
At what point did you realise that we could actually play at that next level, at that top level, that international sport and everything like that?
Again, I'm not sure there's a point at which you ever actually realise that. I think you always have hopes, don't you, as parents, I guess, and you have hopes as individuals that you might go on to do whatever you want to do, whether it's sport or anything else, at the top level. But I think you can probably only take one step at a time. So when you were playing cricket at school, it was clear that you were very good in the peer group that you were in. When you went on to then play for under 17 level at Scotland, again, it was clear that at that level you were more than holding your own. But I think you never know until you take each step whether that's going to be the limit of your ability. And I think you just have to keep recognizing where you're at, recognizing that you've maybe still got the ability to move on to the next level and push on to the next level. And you don't know where your limit's going to be. The sky is your limit, I think. And it's really, so at each level that you've played so far, it seems that you're at home in that level. You know, last year you had the opportunity to play in the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy, and you both did incredibly well in that trophy. And that was, I think you must both have been really encouraged by that. You've both had the opportunities with Scotland to play in global qualifiers. So it's obvious that you're very talented, but where your limit is, I don't know. And I don't think you two know yet either.
Still little babies.
You are still young. It feels like you've been around for ages. I think a lot of people say this, but actually you're 21 and 23, so years ahead.
Yeah. Need to keep that a bit quiet though, because trying to convince half the team that we're twins, and they're quite gullible, so I think they're falling for it.
Oh, sorry.
We've got a few people that believe in it.
I think there's only one left.
One left. See how long we can keep her on for. If we weren't playing cricket, what would you see us doing?
So you mean totally out of sport?
Anything, yeah.
Anything. Well, I don't know. I guess I wonder what you'll do when you finish playing cricket. So what can I see Kathryn doing? I wondered at one point whether she might be something like a physiotherapist, but perhaps a PE teacher, having had such a good experience in your placement year with the Royal Hospital School. Something hands-on, I think, for Kathryn. Whereas you, I guess your maths you're incredible maths-wise, so I guess I would probably see you using your maths at some point. But in what field, I'm not sure, because you've never really divulged to me anyway what your particular interests are. But whether there's any way of combining maths and statistics and cricket, maybe one day I will hear you on Test Match Special as the summariser and statistician.
Yeah, who knows? Kathryn definitely needs something to keep her occupied, though. She can't focus by herself.
We know that.
Yeah. Get dragged to the library to keep me going. What is your favourite thing about watching us compete?
That's really tricky, actually. Because I find it really stressful. I guess it's tricky because I love coming. I wouldn't miss your matches for the world. But actually sitting there and watching you play is very stressful, particularly when you're batting, because you know that one fantastic ball or one slight error and you're out, and that's it. Whereas at least when you're bowling, you've got the opportunity to come back. And I do often wonder what Judy Murray must go through when she's got such high profile young men to watch. So I guess my favourite thing is just being with you, actually, to be honest, being with you and watching you grow as people, watching you grow as individuals, watching you use your talents, and then hopefully getting the chance to have a chat and just a catch up afterwards. And if you have been successful, then that's the icing on the cake, but actually success isn't everything.
Is that a hint? My favourite bit is when you come speak to me, so you better come speak to me at the end of games.
Sometimes it takes a while. You usually get there in the end.
We always come.
This counts as your catch up for the week as well.
Absolutely, yeah, if I'm lucky.
And your Mother's Day present. 2 in 1.
What's your favourite, what's your most memorable sporting moment of us?
There's lots to choose from, because we've been very lucky, and there have been lots of great moments, but I think it would have to be the two of you together and probably in a Scotland shirt. So I've chosen the 100 partnership you scored to beat Papua New Guinea in the Global World Cup qualifiers in Holland back in 2018. That was probably, and just seeing the two of you hug each other at the end of that was fantastic, and that probably took you, I think, as a Scotland women's team to the highest ranking that you'd had in the world at that time. So that's the moment I've chosen.
Kirsty said it better be the Kirsty said it better be the 336 run partnership.
Well, I wondered about that. I did wonder about that when you played for the under-17s against Lincolnshire. That was an incredible moment, but I think just for the level on an international stage and the importance for the team actually is why I chose the PSG match. What would you have chosen?
I think I've put that as one of my favourite moments, definitely.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one.
So you're not committing yourselves, girls?
We sit on the fence daily. We're not going to commit to an answer.
Where we belong.
I think it's time you come off your fence in your 20s.
No, not yet. Give it a few more years.
The fence is a comfortable place to be. It's time to come off.
So finally, what advice would you give to other mothers who see their child has shown an interest or talent in sport?
I guess, so with my sort of medicine hat on, I think it's really important to understand how important sport, but physical activity perhaps, is to health and well-being in general. I'm not sure that I'm an expert in this, so I'm not sure I should be giving advice to other mothers. So I guess I'm just going to say what I think has worked for me and hopefully for us as a family. So first of all, I would say encourage anything and everything that your child likes doing. So don't narrow down too quickly into anything. And when you do narrow down into something, make sure it's the child or the individual that's chosen that, not you as a parent. So I guess we started off doing Enjoyable, which is a multi-sports after school club. You've played tennis, mini rugby, hockey, badminton, golf. We've been hill walking and camping. So I think it was quite a few years before you focused down on cricket, probably late teens, and you still play hockey and golf. So yeah, just encourage anything and everything. Start broad. There's lots of transferable skills, hand-eye coordination. Secondly, I think that it's the enjoyment that's really important. So encourage enjoyment, encourage sportsmanship rather than sporting excellence as being the goal, I think, because the spirit in which games are played, to my mind, is really important. For us, doing things as a family, so I would encourage others to try and yeah, because that's where we've got our enjoyment from, is doing things together. Encourage each individual, each child, to do the best that they can with the gifts that they've been given. And I think perhaps most importantly, instill values. I hope we've managed to instill into you two the importance of respect for others, caring for others, looking after others. And whilst I'm hugely proud of all that you've achieved in cricket, the thing that will always make me most proud is when people tell me what nice people you are. So that might embarrass you towards the end of this interview, but that to me is more important than medals, actually.
And I guess just on that, obviously we did a kind of lot of music and kind of other separate random things at school. Do you think that's also just as important as focusing on sport, but having that variety? Because I know now, for me, like the piano, for example, is like, I just love it, and it's kind of that break away from cricket. Do you think that's really important as well, to have something completely different from, I guess, what you maybe choose to specialise in?
I think so. Again, as it's up to each individual person, isn't it? We all, different things make us tick. But I would go back to your school, actually. I think we were incredibly lucky with the school that you went to. They encouraged all their pupils, I think, to diversify and have a variety of interests. And I think you're right, you spent a lot of time between the two of you playing your 4 musical instruments, but you most, I think, enjoyed being part of the orchestras, part of the choirs, again, part of that sort of team spirit, the friendship, and everything that gave to you. And it's fantastic that we've just bought a keyboard so that you can continue playing your piano whenever you want to, and Kathryn still plays the violin. So those things were, at the school that you went to, as important as academic achievements. And I think, yes, being a sort of being rounded people, if you like, I think is important.
Wonderful.
Just for everyone out there watching as well, Sarah's starting piano lessons soon, so.
Whoa, hello, hold on a minute. I am not qualified in any way, shape or form.
We did always encourage Kathryn when she was younger that her second instrument should be the piano, because that was what was advised. But Kathryn's never necessarily always been somebody to follow advice, so she decided to take the clarinet as her second instrument, but now she's seeing the wisdom of that advice and is getting lessons from her sister. I'm not quite sure what Mrs. Kroll at George Watson's College would think of Sarah as her teacher, but I'm sure she's learned some good skills.
I don't know if that's a dig at me, but I'm sure it'll be great. We'll get there together, Kathryn. We'll be all right.
Yeah. Team effort. It'll take a lot of patience from you, Sarah.
Yeah, it's going to be an experience. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this chat with our mum, and happy Mother's Day to all mums out there. Hope you have a great day.